Manibambe ngazo zozibini zandile ndibulise kuwe apho e-studio sisekurha eGqeberha nalapho namhlanje kuqala umhlangano weentsuku mbini. Umhlangano lowo ke ozokuba phakathi kwekurha nefuna ukumanya ubuhlobo yona kwakunye nezithuthi zeendlela eziwela imida. Ukanti kukwakhona ke nothethathethwano oluzaba khona phakathi koosomashishini abasakhulayo ingakumbi abo bakhoyo kwizithuthi zeendlela. Ukanti oza kusixelela banzi ngoku ndime kunye naye usekela mphathiswa yena ophuma pha kwezothutho umnumzana Umkhuleko Hlengwa. DM, thank you so much for joining us from Mpuma Kapa TV. Firstly, without wasting your time, I would like to know what are the most key challenges that are faced by transportation in South Africa, and of course, how will this the conference address these challenges?
Well, I think the conference must be viewed in a particular context, in that it is a new stream of the work in which we're seeking to do, to say how can we maximize on the opportunities that are available in the ecosystem and value chain of cross-border transportation. Because quite clearly, when a truck leaves Gqeberha departing for the DRC, that movement on its own is an ecosystem for business operation, for small businesses. You're speaking things here such as healthcare, you're speaking issues around servicing of trucks, we're speaking about truck stops, we're speaking about accommodation, amongst others. And so the question is, how do we maximize on that? And so this conference is beginning a new conversation with the operators. We also, of course, not just dealing with trucking. There's also passenger operations. There's also tourism, which takes place within the broader ecosystem of cross-border transportation. So what we are saying is that it must not just be movement. There's elements within the movement which we need to exploit, and what it does obviously is that then we are able to create jobs and grow the economy, particularly where there's a willingness to spend. And of course it speaks to infrastructure build if you're looking about the need actually for South Africa to develop truck stops amongst others. Secondly is to say, how do you ensure the ease of doing business for the operators? That's why we've got SARS amongst others here, because the movement of goods is not just the generation of revenue, but there is revenue related checks which need to take place at our various borders. Also at the same time is to create a collaboration with other countries to ensure that South African transportation moves without interruption in other countries. And so that's why we are part of the protocol, and that's why the engagements continue to take place at that level. So we recognize that we should not just be a sector or an industry that is speaking about problems, but let's also find opportunities within the ecosystem. We are keenly aware of the fact that there's also an obligation on businesses to business correctly by employing South Africans. It's a compliance matter, really, but above and beyond, it is a developmental economic issue for the country, because if you've got an unregistered, undocumented individual working in South Africa, it's elementary, it follows that they won't be paying taxes. And so it's an abuse of the system. And what we are saying is that the vulnerabilities which have brought these foreign illegal immigrants to South Africa should not be exploited for the purposes of business, saying I'll rather take the cheap labor. So there's also a compliance aspect in discussion that we need to have. And then lastly is to say, when we speak about transformation, we need to change the narrative. Transformation must not be viewed as an exclusionary mechanism of one over the other, but about saying, how do we broaden the economic space for participation to bring in new players, leverage skills, knowledge and expertise amongst everybody else, so that there's strength in the collaboration in which we need to do.
DM, thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Lowo ke Zandile ibinguye osekela mphathiswa kwezothutho esixelela banzi ngomhlangano olapha namhlanje noza kuthi aqhube abe uyawuphela ngomso. Masibuyele kwestudio.